With the death of Sekhemkhet, the last pharaoh of the Second Dynasty, Egypt entered a new era. The kingdom, now unified after decades of internal tension, stood poised on the cusp of monumental innovation, cultural flourishing, and centralized authority that would define the Old Kingdom. Into this world stepped Djoser, whose reign, beginning around 2686 BCE, heralded a revolution in both architecture and kingship. Unlike his predecessors, Djoser was not merely a custodian of tradition, he was a visionary. He inherited a kingdom stabilized by Sekhemkhet's reunification efforts, and he would expand its administrative sophistication, elevate its religious practices, and leave a legacy etched in stone for millennia. His reign marks the beginning of Egypt's architectural grandeur and the institutionalization of divine kingship that would define the Old Kingdom. Djoser's throne name, Sekhemkhet, meaning divine of the body or divine of the core, reflects his assertion of both earthly and divine power. By adopting this titulary, he emphasized that the pharaoh was not only ruler of the two lands, but also the earthly embodiment of the god's will. The emphasis on divine kingship in Djoser's reign was revolutionary. It reinforced the pharaoh's role as cosmic intermediary, responsible for maintaining Mat, the order of the cosmos, society, and the Nile's life-giving cycles. His authority was absolute, yet also symbolically tied to the gods, particularly Horus and the sun god Ra, signaling the growing integration of solar theology into royal ideology. Djoser inherited a centralized bureaucracy refined over the Second Dynasty, but he expanded and institutionalized it to unprecedented levels. Records indicate the creation of ministries, royal treasuries, and state offices responsible for taxation, agricultural oversight, trade, and religious administration. High officials, such as Imhotep, Djoser's chief architect and vizier, became instrumental in consolidating the kingdom's administrative capabilities. Imhotep's innovations in architecture and governance would set the stage for monumental construction and centralized state power, illustrating how Djoser's reign fused political acumen with religious and cultural innovation. While Djoser's reign was largely marked by domestic innovation rather than foreign conquest, the pharaoh maintained Egypt's military readiness to ensure internal cohesion and border security. Seal impressions and inscriptions suggest that regional commanders and local governors were integrated into a network of loyalty, with the army serving both practical and ceremonial functions. By maintaining a disciplined military presence, Djoser reinforced central authority and safeguarded Egypt's prosperity, ensuring that internal stability supported the ambitious architectural and cultural projects that defined his reign. Djoser's reign witnessed profound religious innovation. He elevated Ra, the sun god, as a central figure in royal ideology, prefiguring the solar-centered theology that would dominate later Old Kingdom pharaohs. The step pyramid complex itself, with its alignment and monumental scale, symbolized the pharaoh's connection to divine forces and his role in sustaining cosmic order. Ceremonial practices, processions, and offerings emphasized Djoser's position as mediator between gods and humans, reinforcing the sacred legitimacy of kingship. By institutionalizing religious rituals and integrating solar symbolism into the state, Djoser transformed the pharaoh's authority from mere temporal rule to cosmic stewardship. Djoser's most enduring achievement was the step pyramid at Saqqara, designed by Imhotep. This was the first monumental stone structure in Egypt and the first true pyramid in world history, marking a radical departure from the earlier mastaba tombs of the Second Dynasty. The step pyramid complex was not merely a tomb, it was a ceremonial city, including temples, courtyards, chapels, and shrines, all designed to facilitate the pharaoh's journey to eternity. The pyramid symbolized the pharaoh's divine ascent and eternal union with the gods, particularly Ra, whose solar journey the pyramid echoed. This architectural innovation required unprecedented organization, including the mobilization of labor, resources, and administrative oversight. Djoser's reign demonstrates that monumental architecture was inseparable from political power, religious ideology, and economic management. The construction of the step pyramid complex demanded extraordinary economic coordination. Egypt's agricultural surplus, wealth from tribute, and trade networks with Nubia, Sinai, and the Levant supplied the labor, stone, and luxury materials necessary for such a colossal project. By controlling trade, resource allocation, and labor mobilization, Djoser demonstrated mastery of both material and symbolic authority. His reign reflects how economic management, religious legitimacy, and monumental construction reinforced one another, consolidating the pharaoh's power and inspiring awe among his subjects. Djoser's reign was a period of extraordinary cultural vitality. Artistic production, from ivory carvings and inscriptions to ceremonial vessels, flourished alongside monumental architecture. The step pyramid complex and surrounding structures served as centers of ceremonial, cultural, and religious life, influencing Egyptian art and architecture for centuries. The innovations of Djoser's reign, particularly the use of stone, symbolic alignment, and monumental scale, set the stage for the Old Kingdom's golden age, inspiring future pharaohs like Snefru, Khufu, and beyond. His reign represents a fusion of practical governance, religious symbolism, and aesthetic vision. Despite Egypt's stability under Djoser, the logistical and administrative demands of his monumental projects posed challenges. Coordinating thousands of workers, securing materials, and maintaining regional stability required meticulous oversight. Djoser relied heavily on trusted officials, particularly Imhotep, demonstrating the importance of delegated authority and bureaucratic sophistication. His reign illustrates that monumental ambition could coexist with political prudence, administrative efficiency, and social cohesion. Djoser's death, around 2649 BCE, marked the end of a transformative reign. He was succeeded by Sekhemkhet, a pharaoh whose reign continued some step pyramid innovations, but did not achieve the same monumental scale. Djoser's legacy, however, endured. He established the architectural, religious, and administrative foundations of the Old Kingdom, setting a standard for divine kingship, monumental construction, and centralized authority that would influence Egypt for centuries. Djoser is remembered as a pharaoh of vision, innovation, and enduring authority. His reign transformed the very conception of kingship, from regional and ritual authority to cosmic and architectural expression. Through the step pyramid, he communicated that Pharaoh was both mortal ruler and divine intermediary, bridging earthly governance with eternal cosmic order. His innovations in administration, religious ritual, and monumental architecture defined the Old Kingdom's identity and left a legacy that would shape Egypt for millennia. Djoser stands as the archetype of the pharaoh as visionary, administrator, and divine figure, whose reign marked the dawn of Egypt's true golden age. Djoser's reign represents a turning point in Egyptian history. Through monumental construction, religious innovation, administrative sophistication, and strategic governance, he transformed Egypt into a kingdom capable of enduring stability, cultural brilliance, and architectural legacy. In the epic saga of the pharaohs, Djoser is the master architect of eternity, the ruler who demonstrated that kingship is not only about conquest or wealth, but about vision, cosmic authority, and the enduring power of legacy. When Sekhemkhet ascended the throne following the death of Djoser, he inherited not just a unified Egypt, but the monumental legacy of the step pyramid at Saqqara. Around 2648 BCE, Egypt stood at the dawn of its Old Kingdom, a period defined by monumental architecture, centralized governance, and the divine authority of the pharaoh. Sekhemkhet's reign, though brief, represented both continuity and aspiration. As pharaoh, he was tasked with maintaining the achievements of his predecessor while establishing his own mark upon the kingdom. He ruled during a period when the Third Dynasty was solidifying the administrative, religious, and architectural frameworks that would define Egyptian civilization for centuries. Sekhemkhet's throne name, Djoser, and Horus name, Sekhemkhet, meaning powerful one, appears, reflect his assertion of authority in the shadow of Djoser's towering accomplishments. His titulary emphasized both divine legitimacy and temporal power, signaling that he, too, was the earthly embodiment of cosmic order. Sekhemkhet's adoption of monumental ambitions indicates that he fully understood the pharaoh's role not merely as a political leader, but as a cosmic intermediary, responsible for maintaining the harmony of the cosmos, the Nile, and society itself. Sekhemkhet's most enduring legacy lies in his tomb, the buried step pyramid at Saqqara, located a short distance from Djoser's step pyramid. Intended as a monumental funerary complex, the pyramid was never completed, perhaps due to Sekhemkhet's untimely death. Despite its unfinished state, the pyramid demonstrates remarkable architectural ambition. The subterranean chambers, corridors, and burial shaft reveal a sophisticated understanding of construction, ritual, and symbolism. Artifacts recovered include ivory labels, ceremonial vessels, and inscribed stone fragments, underscoring the pharaoh's continued dedication to ceremonial life, ritual authority, and material opulence. Sekhemkhet continued the administrative reforms pioneered by Djoser, maintaining Egypt's centralized bureaucracy, treasuries, and regional oversight. Seal impressions suggest that officials and nomarchs remained integrated into a system that balanced regional authority with centralized control, ensuring the continued flow of tribute, agricultural production, and economic stability. Although his reign was short, estimates suggest only 6 to 7 years, Sekhemkhet's administration preserved continuity in governance, safeguarding Egypt's prosperity and the ability to undertake monumental projects. Religious practice under Sekhemkhet continued to emphasize the pharaoh as a divine intermediary. The buried step pyramid was designed to facilitate the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife, reflecting solar and cosmic symbolism that tied him to Ra and the eternal cycles of the cosmos. Sekhemkhet's mortuary complex included ceremonial chambers, offering chapels, and underground galleries, all designed to ensure that the pharaoh's divine presence would persist beyond death. This focus on funerary ritual demonstrates the increasing integration of religion and kingship characteristic of the early Old Kingdom. Although there is little direct evidence of military campaigns during Sekhemkhet's reign, Egypt's centralized control had vigilant oversight of internal security. Regional commanders and local officials would have ensured stability along the Nile, monitored provincial loyalty, and enforced the pharaoh's authority. Sekhemkhet's ability to maintain internal cohesion during a period of architectural and administrative ambition reflects the pharaoh's dual role as guardian and organizer, balancing ceremonial grandeur with practical governance. The construction of Sekhemkhet's buried step pyramid demanded significant economic coordination. Resources from Nubia, the Sinai, and the Nile Delta were likely mobilized, including stone, metals, and luxury goods. Labor organization for this project required centralized planning, agricultural surplus management, and coordination with regional officials. Even in its unfinished state, the pyramid demonstrates that Sekhemkhet's reign continued the monumental vision of Djoser, relying on economic mastery to achieve symbolic and architectural grandeur. His reign reflects the integration of material wealth, labor organization, and ideological authority. Sekhemkhet's reign continued the flourishing of art, ritual, and ceremonial sophistication initiated under Djoser. Ivory tags, stone vessels, and inscriptions reveal artistic refinement and symbolic depth, emphasizing Pharaoh's divine status and the unity of the two lands. The construction techniques and architectural planning of his pyramid influenced subsequent rulers, ensuring that even an unfinished reign could leave a lasting mark on Egyptian culture. Sekhemkhet's short reign was undoubtedly constrained by logistical, administrative, and possibly health-related challenges. Coordinating a monumental pyramid, sustaining the centralized bureaucracy, and managing regional officials demanded extraordinary oversight. By continuing the projects of Djoser while maintaining governance and ritual authority, Sekhemkhet demonstrated that even a brief reign could preserve stability, reinforce ideology, and advance architectural ambition. Sekhemkhet likely ruled for only 6 to 7 years. His untimely death left the buried step pyramid incomplete, creating a shadowed legacy that was nevertheless influential. He was succeeded by Khaba, another Third Dynasty pharaoh whose reign continued architectural innovations and mortuary practices. Sekhemkhet's unfinished projects did not diminish the lessons his reign imparted: the importance of administrative organization, the integration of religious ideology into kingship, and the potential of monumental architecture to express divine authority. Sekhemkhet is remembered as a pharaoh whose reign, though brief, continued the visionary path of Djoser. His architectural ambitions, religious authority, and administrative oversight demonstrated the pharaoh's role as both guardian of Mat and innovator. The buried step pyramid stands as a testament to the intersection of vision and mortality, a structure that hints at grandeur yet remains unfinished, reflecting both the ambition and fragility of human endeavors. Sekhemkhet's reign illustrates that even short-lived rulers could shape the trajectory of Egyptian civilization through careful stewardship, ceremonial authority, and monumental aspiration. In the grand saga of the pharaohs, Sekhemkhet represents the bridge between Djoser's monumental legacy and the continued architectural and ideological innovations of the Old Kingdom. He embodies the pharaoh's dual role as ruler and visionary, balancing administration, ritual, and construction even under the constraints of a brief reign. Sekhemkhet's buried step pyramid reminds us that history is shaped not only by completed monuments, but also by ambition, vision, and continuity, leaving an enduring influence on the unfolding story of Egypt. Following the brief and ambitious reign of Sekhemkhet, Egypt stood at a crossroads of continuity and transformation. The foundations laid by Djoser and continued by Sekhemkhet had established a kingdom capable of unprecedented architectural achievement, centralized administration, and divine kingship. Into this world stepped Khaba, ruler of the Third Dynasty, whose very name evokes the enduring power of Egyptian kingship. The soul appears. Khaba's reign, around to 640 to 637 BCE, was short but significant. Archaeological evidence suggests a pharaoh deeply invested in monumental construction, ceremonial innovation, and dynastic legitimacy. Although much of his life remains shrouded in mystery, Khaba represents the continuing ambition of Egypt's early Old Kingdom rulers, bridging the visionary projects of Djoser and Sekhemkhet with the lasting achievements of his successors. Khaba's Horus name, Khaba, and his throne name, as recorded in king lists, emphasize his divine embodiment. His titles convey both temporal power and sacred responsibility, asserting the pharaoh's role as the cosmic intermediary. In a period where solar theology and divine kingship were increasingly intertwined, Khaba's titulary underscores the continuity of Mat, the cosmic order, while signaling his authority as the rightful heir to the monumental and ideological projects of his predecessors. Khaba's most notable achievement lies in the layer pyramid at Zoryet El Aryan, a testament to architectural experimentation and ambition. Unlike Djoser's step pyramid or Sekhemkhet's buried step pyramid, Khaba's pyramid demonstrates a transitional phase in stone construction, reflecting both continuity and innovation. The layer pyramid, composed of carefully constructed stone layers, likely served as Khaba's funerary complex. Although unfinished in parts, it reveals a pharaoh intent on asserting his eternal presence through monumental architecture, ceremonial design, and symbolic alignment with cosmic forces. Artifacts found within and around the complex, including ivory labels, stone vessels, and inscribed artifacts, highlight a sophisticated integration of material culture, ritual, and political authority. Khaba inherited a kingdom with a highly structured bureaucracy. Seal impressions and inscriptions suggest that officials managed tribute, agricultural production, trade, and temple administration, ensuring that Egypt's centralized power remained stable. The layer pyramid itself would have required extensive coordination, demonstrating that Khaba relied on both a robust administrative network and the organizational skills of high-ranking officials to achieve his architectural vision. This integration of governance and monumental construction reflects the pharaoh's dual role as administrator and divine architect. Religion continued to underpin Khaba's rule. The layer pyramid, like earlier pyramids, functioned as a cosmic symbol, linking the pharaoh's earthly authority with the eternal forces of the gods. Rituals, offering chapels, and ceremonial spaces within the pyramid complex facilitated the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife, reinforcing his divine status. Although Khaba did not establish the solar cult innovations of Djoser, he maintained the Horus-centered religious framework of kingship, ensuring continuity in the ideological traditions of the Old Kingdom. Evidence of military campaigns during Khaba's reign is scarce, yet Egypt's stability required ongoing oversight. Regional commanders, officials, and local administrators would have maintained internal security, controlled provincial allegiance, and enforced Pharaoh's authority. Khaba's ability to mobilize labor for monumental construction projects suggests that the army and workforce were tightly integrated into a coordinated state apparatus, blending ceremonial service with practical governance. The construction of the layer pyramid demanded significant economic coordination. Resources from quarries in Tura, Aswan, and local sites would have been transported along the Nile, along with food, materials, and labor. Khaba's administration likely relied on careful planning, tribute collection, and regional oversight to mobilize the resources necessary for monumental construction. His reign demonstrates the pharaoh's ability to integrate economic management, ceremonial symbolism, and statecraft. Artifacts associated with Khaba's reign, though limited, reveal the continued refinement of early Old Kingdom art. Ivory tags, stone vessels, and inscriptions indicate a focus on ceremonial symbolism, material craftsmanship, and ritual authority. The layer pyramid itself became a template for subsequent experimentation in pyramid construction, influencing later rulers such as Huni and the architects who perfected the true pyramid form during the Fourth Dynasty. Khaba's reign represents a bridge between vision and technique, where artistic, ceremonial, and architectural ambition coalesced. Khaba's reign, although short, required the coordination of monumental construction, administration, and ritual practice. Managing resources, labor, and regional loyalty was a complex task, made more urgent by the demands of asserting dynastic legitimacy and divine authority. By preserving stability, maintaining administrative oversight, and advancing architectural innovation, Khaba ensured that Egypt remained a kingdom capable of enduring continuity and monumental ambition. Khaba's death marked the end of a brief but significant reign. His layer pyramid, though not fully completed, stands as a testament to his ambition and vision. He was succeeded by Huni, the last pharaoh of the Third Dynasty, who would finalize the architectural innovations that Khaba and his predecessors had initiated, setting the stage for the grandeur of the Fourth Dynasty. Even in absence of extensive textual records, Khaba's reign reflects a pharaoh who bridged ambition and continuity, preserving Egypt's monumental, administrative, and ideological trajectory. Khaba is remembered as a pharaoh of transition and experimentation, whose reign preserved the monumental vision of Djoser and Sekhemkhet while introducing innovations in pyramid construction. He exemplifies the continuity of kingship, maintaining religious, administrative, and ceremonial authority in a kingdom poised for a future grandeur. His layer pyramid, artifacts, and administrative continuity reflect a ruler whose contributions, though partially obscured by time, influenced the trajectory of Egyptian architecture. governance, and ritual practice. Khaba's reign reminds us that even brief or enigmatic rulers can shape history through vision, prudence, and the assertion of divine authority. In the epic saga of the pharaohs, Khaba occupies a crucial space, a bridge between the early innovations of the Third Dynasty and the monumental achievements of the Fourth Dynasty. Through careful governance, architectural ambition, and ritual authority, he ensured that Egypt's Old Kingdom would continue its trajectory toward enduring grandeur. Khaba's reign embodies the pharaoh as guardian of continuity, innovator of form, and custodian of the divine order, preserving Egypt's stability while pointing toward the monumental achievements yet to come.
Following the reign of Khaba, Egypt stood on the threshold of its full Old Kingdom grandeur. The Third Dynasty had seen the birth of monumental stone architecture, the consolidation of centralized authority, and the solidification of divine kingship. Into this world ascended Nebka, also sometimes identified as Sekhemkhet, whose name appears in king lists as a ruler of early Egypt's Third Dynasty. Though his reign remains partially obscured by the mists of time, archaeological evidence and textual fragments suggest that Nebka played a pivotal role in safeguarding dynastic continuity, consolidating power, and pursuing monumental and administrative projects. He represents both a link to the visionary innovations of Djoser and a precursor to the monumental architects of the Fourth Dynasty. Nebka's Horus name is often linked to Lord of the Ka, or the soul of the Ka appears, reflecting the pharaoh's role as a living god on earth. Like his predecessors, Nebka's authority derived from his position as guardian of Mate, the divine order that sustained Egypt, its Nile, and the lives of its people. Although some scholars debate whether Nebka and Sekhemkhet are the same individual, the evidence points to a ruler who emphasized divine legitimacy in his titulary, linking kingship to the eternal cosmic order. Nebka's tomb is believed to be located at southwest Saqqara, although its identification remains debated among Egyptologists. Architectural remains suggest a pyramid complex, likely smaller than Djoser's step pyramid, reflecting a continuation of monumental ambition tempered by pragmatism. The burial complex would have included subsidiary structures for ceremonial rituals, storage of offerings, and mortuary chapels. Excavated artifacts, including fragments of stone vessels, inscriptions, and ivory tags, highlight both the ritual importance and the administrative oversight characteristic of Third Dynasty funerary projects. Nebka's reign demonstrates continuity in administration following Khaba. Seal, impressions, and regional evidence indicate a robust bureaucracy managing tribute, agricultural production, and temple administration. Regional governors, scribes, and high officials likely coordinated with the central authority to maintain Egypt's prosperity, ensure labor for monumental projects, and safeguard loyalty in both Upper and Lower Egypt. Nebka's reign, therefore, exemplifies the pharaoh as organizer, administrator, and central authority, ensuring stability even amidst dynastic transitions. Religion under Nebka remained central to his authority. The pharaoh continued the horse-centered ideology of kingship while overseeing rituals, offerings, and temple dedications. These practices reinforced Nebka's role as mediator between gods and humans, essential to sustaining Ma'at. While he did not reach the architectural heights of Djoser's step pyramid, Nebka's focus on ceremonial precision, ritual observance, and religious symbolism underscores his commitment to cosmic and societal harmony. Evidence suggests that Nebka may have begun constructing a pyramid at Saqqara sometimes identified as a mastaba or early true pyramid form. While less imposing than Djoser's step pyramid, the structure demonstrates continued experimentation with stone construction, funerary symbolism, and architectural planning. These projects required careful resource management, labor organization, and coordination with administrators, reflecting the integration of statecraft and monumental vision characteristic of Third Dynasty pharaohs. Although direct evidence of military campaigns during Nebka's reign is lacking, the pharaoh would have maintained a network of loyal regional commanders, officials, and provincial administrators. This network ensured internal stability, border security, and enforcement of royal authority, allowing Nebka to focus on ceremonial, architectural, and administrative projects. Nebka's reign relied on Egypt's agricultural surplus, trade networks, and tribute systems. Resources were directed toward monumental construction, temple offerings, and elite consumption, illustrating the pharaoh's control over both material wealth and symbolic power. By coordinating resources and labor, Nebka reinforced his authority while sustaining Egypt's prosperity, highlighting the interconnectedness of economy, ritual, and governance in early dynastic kingship. Artifacts from Nebka's reign, though scarce, show the continued refinement of early Old Kingdom art, including stone vessels, inscriptions, and ceremonial objects. These items reflect a culture increasingly focused on ritual symbolism, artistic precision, and dynastic continuity, establishing patterns that would flourish in the Fourth Dynasty. Nebka's reign contributed to the cultural and administrative groundwork that allowed later pharaohs to undertake ever more ambitious architectural and ceremonial projects. Nebka's reign was likely short, with estimates ranging from a few years to a decade. Within this limited time frame, he faced the challenge of maintaining dynastic legitimacy, overseeing monumental construction, and consolidating centralized authority. By continuing the work of his predecessors while stabilizing the kingdom, Nebka ensured that Egypt remained prepared for the grand architectural and administrative achievements that would follow under Huni and the Fourth Dynasty. Nebka's death marked the end of a transitional reign within the Third Dynasty. He was succeeded by Huni, who completed the dynasty and laid the foundation for the Fourth Dynasty's monumental pyramid building age. Though his reign is less documented than that of Djoser or Khaba, Nebka's careful stewardship of the kingdom ensured continuity, stability, and administrative cohesion, enabling Egypt to flourish in subsequent generations. Nebka is remembered as a pharaoh whose reign represents stability, continuity, and architectural experimentation. He preserved the monumental vision of Djoser, carried forward the administrative and ceremonial structures of Khaba, and prepared the kingdom for the rise of Huni and the Fourth Dynasty. His layer or early pyramid projects, combined with administrative oversight and ritual observance, exemplify the pharaoh as both divine ruler and pragmatic steward, sustaining Egypt during a transitional period of dynastic consolidation. In the epic saga of Egyptian rulers, Nebka may not have achieved the fame of Djoser's step pyramid or Khufu's Great Pyramid, but his reign was essential. He bridged the innovations of early Third Dynasty pharaohs with the monumental achievements yet to come. Nebka's legacy lies in preserving the kingdom, advancing architectural vision, and ensuring the continuity of divine kingship, demonstrating that even pharaohs of quieter fame shaped the enduring destiny of Egypt.
History remembers the Great Pyramid. It remembers Khufu, the king whose monument still dominates the Egyptian horizon after more than 4,500 years. It remembers the gigantic pyramids, the legendary pharaohs, and the golden age of ancient Egypt, but almost nobody remembers the man who made all of it possible. His name was Huni, the last king of Egypt's Third Dynasty, and without him, the age of the Great Pyramids might never have happened. His tomb has never been found. His greatest monument is still debated. Even his face has been erased by time, yet historians believe that this forgotten ruler stood at one of the most important turning points in Egyptian history, inheriting a kingdom already becoming extraordinary and quietly transforming it into the empire that would soon build wonders unlike anything humanity had ever seen. So who was Pharaoh Huni? Why has history almost forgotten him? And why do many Egyptologists believe that the road leading to the Great Pyramid began not with Khufu, but with this mysterious king whose story has been buried beneath 4,000 years of sand? To answer that question, we have to travel back nearly 47 centuries to an Egypt that looked very different from the one most people imagine. The famous pyramids of Giza did not yet exist. The colossal Sphinx had not yet been carved from the limestone plateau. The Valley of the Kings would not become a royal cemetery for another 1,000 years. Instead, Egypt was still discovering just how powerful it could become. Only a few centuries earlier, the legendary King Nama had united Upper and Lower Egypt into a single kingdom, creating one of the world's first great civilizations. Since then, generation after generation of pharaohs had strengthened that kingdom, expanding its government, organizing its economy, and convincing their people that the king was far more than a ruler. He was the living link between humanity and the gods. To the ancient Egyptians, the pharaoh was responsible for maintaining the sacred balance that kept the universe itself in harmony. If the king ruled wisely, the Nile flooded on time, crops grew, temples prospered, and Egypt flourished. But if chaos replaced order, the consequences reached far beyond politics. The very stability of creation seemed to hang in the balance. That was the weight resting upon every Egyptian king. And when Huni inherited the throne sometime around 2630 BC, he inherited much more than a crown. He inherited a civilization on the edge of greatness. But here's where the mystery begins. Unlike many other pharaohs, we know surprisingly little about Huni himself. We don't know exactly where he was buried. We don't know what he looked like. We aren't even completely certain which monuments he built. Imagine that for a moment. A man who ruled one of the greatest civilizations on Earth. And yet thousands of years later, historians are still arguing over some of the most basic facts about his life. That alone makes him fascinating. Most kings become famous because they leave behind enormous monuments. Huni became famous because he almost disappeared. His name survives only in scattered inscriptions, ancient kinglets written centuries after his death, and a handful of artifacts discovered across Egypt. It's almost like trying to solve a 4,000-year-old puzzle when most of the pieces have been lost forever. But the pieces that remain tell an incredible story. Before Huni came another extraordinary ruler, Pharaoh Djoser. If you've ever seen the famous step pyramid at Saqqara, you've already seen Djoser's greatest achievement. Designed by the brilliant architect Imhotep, it wasn't simply a royal tomb. It was a revolution. Before Djoser, Egyptian kings were buried beneath flat rectangular tombs called mastabas, built mainly from mud brick. Then suddenly, everything changed. Layer upon layer of carefully cut limestone rose into the sky, creating the first pyramid ever built. For the first time in human history, stone itself became the language of eternity. The step pyramid announced something remarkable to the ancient world. Egypt possessed the wealth ... the engineers ... the craftsmen ... and the organization to build monuments unlike anything anyone had ever attempted. But history often focuses on the people who begin revolutions. It sometimes forgets the people who make those revolutions possible on an even greater scale. That was Huni's world. He inherited a kingdom where enormous building projects were no longer impossible dreams. They were becoming reality. Think about what it actually takes to build a pyramid. Not just thousands of workers, tens of thousands. You need quarrymen cutting limestone from cliffs, stonemasons shaping every block with astonishing precision, boat crews transporting massive stones along the Nile, engineers planning every angle, surveyors measuring every foundation, farmers producing enough food to feed entire workforces, brewers making thousands of gallons of beer, bakers producing endless supplies of bread, administrators recording every shipment, scribes tracking every worker, priests blessing every stage of construction. A pyramid isn't simply a building. It's an entire civilization working together toward a single goal. And that's exactly what Huni inherited. During what was probably a reign lasting around 24 years, Egypt appears to have remained remarkably stable. That might not sound exciting compared to tales of conquest or gigantic monuments, but stability is exactly what allows civilizations to achieve greatness. Without stable harvests ... without organized taxation ... without experienced officials ... without secure trade routes, none of the incredible achievements of the Fourth Dynasty would have been possible. This is where Huni begins to emerge from history's shadows. Instead of imagining him as a forgotten king who accomplished little, many historians now see something completely different. They see a ruler quietly strengthening the machinery of Egypt itself. The government became more organized. Royal authority reached farther into the provinces. Trade continued expanding. Mining expeditions brought valuable copper and turquoise from the Sinai. Administrative networks became increasingly sophisticated. Every improvement made the kingdom stronger. Every successful harvest filled royal storehouses. Every experienced official prepared Egypt for something even bigger. And perhaps the most intriguing clue comes from southern Egypt, on Elephantine Island, near the first cataract of the Nile. Archaeologists discovered a granite cone bearing Huni's name. At first glance, it doesn't seem particularly impressive. It's not a pyramid. It's not a colossal statue. But its location speaks volumes. It tells us that Huni's authority reached deep into Upper Egypt, near one of the kingdom's most important frontiers. From there flowed trade with Nubia, bringing gold, exotic animals, ivory, ebony, and valuable resources into Egypt. Control that frontier, and you strengthen the kingdom. Lose it, and Egypt's prosperity suffered. Even more mysterious is a ruined pyramid at Zoyet El Arian, sometimes called the Layer Pyramid. Some Egyptologists believe Huni may have begun its construction. Others believe it belonged to another ruler entirely. To this day, nobody can say with complete certainty. And that's what makes Huni such an irresistible historical mystery. Every discovery raises another question. Every answer seems to create more. It's almost as if time itself refuses to give up all of his secrets. But perhaps the biggest mystery isn't what Huni built, it's what he left behind. Because when historians look at Egypt immediately after his reign, something extraordinary happens. The next king doesn't simply continue building pyramids. He changes history forever. That king was Snefru. And if Huni was the forgotten architect of Egypt's greatest age, then Snefru was the builder who turned possibility into reality. The moment Snefru took the throne, something remarkable happened. Egypt didn't hesitate. It didn't struggle through years of political chaos. It didn't collapse into civil war. Instead, it exploded into one of the greatest construction booms the ancient world had ever witnessed. That fact alone tells historians something incredibly important. Great civilizations don't suddenly become extraordinary overnight. You don't wake up one morning and decide to build millions of tons of stone into a perfect geometric monument. You prepare for it for years, sometimes for decades, sometimes for generations. And that preparation may have been Huni's greatest achievement. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding these two kings is their relationship. Some historians believe Snefru married Huni's daughter. Queen Hetephres I, giving him a legitimate claim to the throne through the royal bloodline. Others argue the evidence simply isn't strong enough to prove it. That's one of the challenges of studying Egypt's earliest dynasties. The farther back you travel into history, the quieter the voices become. Records disappear, monuments crumble, names fade. What remains are clues, and every clue must be carefully pieced together like fragments of an ancient mosaic. But regardless of whether Snefru was Huni's son-in-law or simply his successor, one thing is undeniable. He inherited an incredibly well-organized kingdom. And then he did something no pharaoh had ever attempted before. He built not one pyramid ... not to ... but three. His first great project was the Medem Pyramid. Originally begun as a step pyramid, it was later transformed into what may have been Egypt's first attempt at creating a smooth-sided pyramid. Today, much of it has collapsed, leaving behind a mysterious stone tower rising from the desert like the ruins of an impossible dream. For centuries, travelers wondered what had happened there. Was it poor engineering? Did the outer layers collapse over time? Or did builders simply abandon the project before it was finished? Even today, archaeologists continue debating the answer. But Snefru wasn't finished, far from it. His next project became one of the strangest monuments in Egyptian history. The bent pyramid. Halfway through construction, something unexpected happened. The angle suddenly changed. The lower half rises steeply toward the sky. Then, almost without warning, the sides become noticeably shallower. It looks as though the pyramid itself changed its mind halfway to heaven. Why? Some experts believe cracks began appearing inside the structure, forcing engineers to reduce the angle before the entire monument collapsed under its own weight. Others suggest the change reflected new architectural ideas developing during construction. Whatever the reason, the bent pyramid tells us something extraordinary. Egyptian engineers weren't afraid to learn from failure. They adapted, they experimented, they improved. And then came Snefru's masterpiece, the Red Pyramid. For the first time in history, Egyptian builders successfully completed a true smooth-sided pyramid exactly as they had envisioned it. No changes, no dramatic redesigns, just clean geometric perfection. That monument became the blueprint. Without the Red Pyramid, there is almost certainly no Great Pyramid, which brings us back to Huni, because none of this happened in isolation. Snefru inherited experienced architects, skilled craftsmen, organized labor forces, efficient administrators, reliable food production, established quarries, river transport networks, a government capable of coordinating tens of thousands of workers toward a single goal. Those things cannot be created in a single reign. They are built slowly ... patiently ... generation after generation. And Huni ruled during the final years of that preparation. Think of it like building a cathedral. The towering spire may become the symbol everyone remembers. But before the first stone of that spire can rise into the sky, someone has to dig foundations deep enough to carry its weight. No visitor sees those buried stones. Yet without them ... everything collapses. That is Huni's legacy. He may not have built the greatest pyramid. He may not have conquered distant kingdoms. His face may never be recovered. His tomb may remain hidden forever, but he governed Egypt at precisely the moment when it transformed from an ambitious kingdom into the civilization capable of creating wonders that still leave modern engineers speechless. Ironically, the greatest mystery surrounding Huni isn't what we know. It's what we don't know. Where was he buried? Was the layer pyramid really his? How extensive were his building projects? What did his royal palace look like? What did he sound like when he addressed his court? Did he ever imagine what his successor would accomplish? Those questions have survived longer than many empires. And perhaps they always will, because history is full of forgotten giants. Not giants because they built the tallest monuments, but because they carried civilizations across invisible bridges between one age and the next. Huni was one of those giants, his bridge connected the revolutionary ideas of Djoser to the architectural brilliance of Snefru, to the breathtaking ambition of Khufu... and ultimately to the Great Pyramid itself. Today, more than 4,500 years after his death, millions of people travel to Egypt every year. They stand before the pyramids, they photograph the Sphinx, they gaze across the Giza plateau in awe, wondering how an ancient civilization achieved something so extraordinary. Very few realize that before Khufu... before Snefru, before the golden age of pyramid building... there was another king, a king whose monuments remain uncertain, whose tomb has vanished, whose story survives only in scattered fragments carved into ancient stone, yet whose reign may have quietly shaped everything that followed. History remembers the men who stand on the summit, but every summit rests upon a mountain built long before anyone reaches the top. Perhaps that is why Pharaoh Huni deserves to be remembered. Not because he built the largest pyramid, not because he ruled the longest, not because he left behind countless monuments, but because he understood something that the greatest leaders throughout history have always understood. The most important work is not always the work that earns applause. Sometimes, the greatest achievement is preparing a future that you will never live to see. And in that sense, Huni accomplished something extraordinary. He didn't simply rule at the end of Egypt's Third Dynasty. He stood at the doorway of a new age. He preserved a kingdom ready for greatness. He handed it to the next generation. And from that moment forward, the deserts of Egypt would never look the same again. The world would remember the giants of stone, but hidden beneath their shadow, still waiting to be rediscovered, was the king who helped make them possible. Pharaoh Huni, the forgotten pharaoh who stood before the age of giants.